Welcome to Confessions of a Wife, Mom, and Realtor, the Raw podcast, all about the messy, true lives of working moms in real estate. In this podcast, we talk about the hilarious mishaps and successes that are pretty much guaranteed when it comes to selling real estate while managing a family. I'm your host, Nicole Ward, the boots on the ground toddler mom who swears like a sailor and fails extravagantly, all while running my own real estate business. So grab a juice box and that basket of clean laundry that still needs folded because we're going to jump right in. Hey guys, welcome to the podcast today. I have Jennifer Carlson Manges. Is that right? Did I say it right?
Yes, ma'am. Good job.
Thanks. So Jennifer is currently recording this podcast while she's doing a booth for her business at a fair. So we are talking on the go like us realtors do. So Jennifer, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, what you were doing in life before you got your license and how you went about getting your real estate license.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi, everybody. I am 34 years old. I am a mom I have a 14-year-old daughter. I have two step boys that are 6 and 14 also. And me and my husband are now expecting our first baby together. So super exciting. He's actually due on Christmas Eve. So,
oh, wow. You got a Christmas baby.
Christmas baby. So, the doctor told me last week that he'll be here before Christmas. So that's exciting.
Wow. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. So we just started our build for our new home. So realtor life, kind of threw us into that. I looked at a million houses and just decided it was, I'm just going to build one.
Right.
Like crazy time for that. But our family is growing and our house right now is 1,400 square feet and it just doesn't fit.
Doesn't work. That is a lot of kids to have in 1,400 square feet of house.
So, that'll be done in February or March. And so new baby, new house. My career is relatively new. I've only been an agent now for 3 years. So I've done, pretty well. I've been top agent numerous times in my company at Berkshire Hathaway. So,
what did you do before you got licensed?
I did home health care and I was an STNA. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So when I met my husband now, which was about 5 years ago, we had taken a class on investing and doing home flips. So,
okay.
And that's kind of what got us started. And he's like, real estate's where it's at. And it's like, well, maybe we could, try. And I said I would get my license and I did my classes in a little under a month, did them all online. I took my test one time and I failed by one question. And then took it the second time and I passed it with flying colors. And
just so you know, it's really common. Almost everybody I talk to has failed the real estate exam at least once.
Yep.
So no problem.
And I was like, you gotta be kidding. But and then we made it through COVID. COVID was kind of crazy with the market and showing houses. And so when I got into it, it was like, man, what am I going to do? I still had my part-time job as a home health aide. So I at least had that, but, going through COVID, luckily we all made it. But it was crazy with the market. And then now the market's shifting again. So it's kind of an unknown for new realtors like us. And, we'll kind of see where it takes us, but
I think you're going to be fine. I mean, I've kind of followed you along social media and I know it's The Shift. Have you ever read that book, by the way, by Gary Keller, The Shift book?
No, but I have it. It's on my vacation list for next week. I have 2 books that I'm going to read. The $1 Million Agent by Gary Keller. They're the multi-million, whatever that one is. And then, The Shift book. So
both great books. And I will challenge you. I'm going to add one more that I feel like every entrepreneur needs to read. And it's called $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozy. And it is, go ahead.
I have it. Yep. That's good.
It's amazing. You've read it? Have you read it?
No. No, it's on my book. It's on my bookshelf.
Girlfriend,
So
listen, it will change your life. It is the most amazing book to read. In fact, I've reread it and I'm going to continue rereading it just to keep it fresh in my mind because it's that good.
yeah, I'm not a reader. So my husband reads all the time. Warren Buffett reads for 4 or 5 hours a day.
Right.
So, and Eric constantly tells me, he reads and there's a reason. I'm like, I know. So that's my goal. That's actually one of my monthly goals that I have written down in my book. I need to start reading. And I think there's just so much knowledge out there that we can learn. And, even if you're a successful agent and you do multi-million-dollar a year, there's always more to learn.
Always. I truly feel that way. And also like, for me, I'm on the road a lot, like all agents are. And so I'm Audible. I'm like the Audible queen or podcast queen.
right.
Like I will listen to the book. And if I feel like I
Yeah,
need to buy it, then I buy it and I read it along. But I like Audible. Do you listen
right.
to Audible?
I don't. No, reading is it's not something I've ever really been a fan of, but a lot of people do the Audible. So I'm gonna try. Like I said, I'm going on vacation next week for 10 days in Tennessee. So I'm gonna try and relax and unplug. If a realtor can unplug, they really can't, and read.
Kind of a baby moon then, huh?
Yeah, it's our last vacation as 5 of us. So
Okay.
yeah, we're taking a nice long one and just gonna relax in the mountains, do a little couple hikes, and we're at a resort, so I just want to relax and sit by the pool.
Girl, I don't blame you. I would be the same way.
Life is gonna get so much more hectic here coming up. So
Being pregnant in the summer is not fun. I was 6, 7, and 8 months pregnant throughout the hottest months in the summer, and it was pretty miserable. So I'm feeling you on that.
I'm pretty miserable. I thank God that we're in the fair. We're in the building, so it's air, and then I walked outside a couple times to get my food, and I'm like, ugh, nope, I'm good.
Not fun.
No.
So tell me a little bit about, you have a blended family and recently married. I remember talking to you before about that, and you both are working in the real estate world. So what is it like for you, building your business over the last 3 or so years and managing and running a family? Like, how do you do both? What kind of support system do you have? What do you do?
Eric is wonderful. So he picks up my slack for sure. I pick up his slack. Like everybody, we all have good and bad days. I mean, we went through, Eric was very sick at the end of last year. So before we got married, and going through all of that and being a new agent, I still made my top 100 lists and top 10 lists, and it was crazy for a couple months, but because I think he was in the hospital for like 62 days, and
That's crazy. He had COVID, right?
he did. Yeah.
How did you manage that? How are you a top producing agent with a husband who is in the hospital with COVID and have all of your kids? I mean, how'd you do that?
we were very fortunate to have the other parents. Again, we are a blended family, so the boys had their mom, and my daughter had her dad, and luckily they helped out a lot so I could be with Eric. And I don't know what I would have done. I'm so thankful for being in real estate full time because it is flexible. I wasn't showing houses only because I was in and out of the hospital so much, and I didn't want to expose people. Eric was active COVID it was almost 30 days before they released him from active COVID because he was on an ECMO machine. So, every day I went in, I had to dress in full gear to go in and see him. Some days it was an hour when he was in a coma. I was allowed there. Other days when he was awake and conscious, it could be 12 to 16 hours a day. I could be there.
That is insane. I mean,
Yeah.
Was that just heart-wrenching? Did you know what the outcome would be, or were you always concerned?
It was hour to hour. I mean, we would have days where Eric was great. He's sitting up talking and fine. And then there would be days where he, right before he got put on the ECMO machine, which That saved his life. They transported him. They gave him a 5% chance to live in Medina. And, they said, well, the only thing we can try is get him an ECMO machine, fly him to Cleveland, to be at main campus. And, we're not very hopeful. They were very honest. But again, at that point, it was hour to hour. We didn't know, when they emergency vented him and put him in a coma, we didn't know what the outcome would be. So, I mean,
that had to be so scary, just so scary.
It was, because he is just the best thing, honestly. I mean, other than my kids, of course, but that has happened to me. I mean, he brought me to a point where, I I really found out who Jennifer was. He helped me realize, look what you can do. There's so much more to life than what you've been shown or what you know of. And Eric and I, there's an age difference in that. Honestly, he's such a blessing to me. I can't thank him enough. And
That's
I know
wonderful.
Like you and your husband are a team, and I get a couple other ones that I have people come up to me and they're like, my God, how can you deal with your husband, all the time? Like,
because we love our husbands and they're great support systems, and we wouldn't have gotten into the business if we didn't feel that way.
Right. I wouldn't have it any other way. I just, I love being able to call him and say, listen to this happen, agent said this agent said that. And it's so nice to be able to come home and vent to somebody who also understands, because, he's in the same, career.
He's doing it every day with you. Right. I mean, it's awesome.
And it's cool. We can sit down. It's like, hey, what's going on with such and such, and or this property or that property, or did that agent even get back to you? And it's like, no. And if he wasn't in that situation, say he worked at a factory, not that that's a bad thing, but they wouldn't know what was going on, and they would never understand our schedule. So showing the 8-9 o'clock. I mean, it happens.
True. It does. It happens. I mean, I was just telling some friends and family of mine the other day that, I work about 80 hours a week. I mean, from the sun up until I pick up my kids from school or daycare, they're home with me for maybe 2 hours before they go to bed. And then I'm working hours into the evening, all weekend long. Like, I'm working so much. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. People don't understand. I mean, really, how much time goes into it. Other people will say, oh, well, look at your job. You're just a real estate agent, and I work 40 hours a week. And it's like, well, I bet I
and
I take it at home, some of the times, but other times I'm on the road. I am busy, and I'm eating dinner in the car, and making sure, with 3 kids, the 2 14-year-olds, they're in cross country and track, and Rosa's in flag now, and she's in choir. I mean, it's crazy. There's days where I think in the morning, like getting out of bed, I'm like, I don't even know how I'm going to manage today. But again, Eric is such a help. So
day by day. And I would tell those people that say I work 40 hours a week, I'm like, must be nice to have vacation pay and medical insurance and all those other things that you have that I don't get, and I have to work really hard for.
It's exactly. I mean, 100%. I hate to be that person. Like, yeah, well, and they're like, well, you go on all these vacations. Do you realize I don't sit and relax on vacations?
We work. It happens.
Right. I sat by the pool for, most of the time. And there is times where I do think it's important that you put the phone down.
Just shut it down, shut it down, turn it off. And absolutely.
Because guess what? That agent's going to be there tomorrow. Just because you didn't, answer that call, it is what it is. But family, it does come first. And there's times where my daughter will ask me, Mom, seriously, like, can you put your phone down? And it's kind of like a gut wrenching feeling, like, man, I'm sorry. So at those times I do. It's hard because I'm like, I got to get back to that agent, or I have to let that client know we can go tomorrow at 2. And it's like, there's so many things. And I think a good schedule, I don't use my phone for a schedule. Everything goes in my book. If something is not on my book and not in my schedule,
Doesn't exist.
It doesn't exactly. It doesn't exist because I'm like, nope, that was not planned. Can't fit
Yep.
it in. Sorry.
I'm the same way. I mean, I use my phone schedule, but I'm 100% the same way. If it is not in my schedule, it 100% doesn't exist and it doesn't happen. So,
Right.
I mean, I even have to schedule like when we have family time or date time or things like that, like I have to put it in my calendar and block off the time so that someone else doesn't schedule something over top of it. It's
And that stuff should come first. I plan all of our vacations out. I figure out when we're leaving, when we're going, where we're staying. And Eric is so like chill and he's like, oh, we'll just pick a place. I'm like, nope, I already got it figured out.
I got this. So what do you do when you go on vacation? Like how do you back at the home front, how do you keep things moving along if you had showings or things like that? Do you have a partner other than your
Oh,
husband?
luckily, yes, we have hired Chuck Andre, and he is wonderful. He's been an agent now for 2 years. He after his deal he's got now, he will have closed $1 million this year. And
Wow.
yep. And he's rocking it, man. I mean, he does a lot of my showings, which is such a help. I mean, he's, writing up contracts and sending ROCs and going to inspections for me. And, he's helping me with the fair. And I don't know what I would do without Chuck.
That's amazing. It's so good to have a good support system, not only within your family, but within the business. And I'm a firm believer 100% that, there's a lot of strife and everything between brokerages and, well, this brokerage is better. Well, this brokerage is better. And I say there are brokerages out there that have some great incentives for you to be there. But ultimately, it comes down to 100% the people you surround yourself with, your tribe. You are a product of who you surround yourself with. And if you are surrounding yourself with a good team or a good group of people, you will be successful no matter where you hang your license. I truly believe that.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, and you're right. There is other brokerages that, I've looked into and thought about and, oh, this is a little bit better. This is better here. But where I'm at right now, I'm happy. I'm producing, I'm doing well. I have a great support system, a great broker that if I call her at 9 o'clock at night, it's, okay, let's figure this out. And I mean,
And a
I've
good
heard people
team.
say this is better. Right. And then I have Chuck and I have Eric and, Rose does open houses with me, which is my 14-year-old daughter. And she wants to be a photographer. So we let her take pictures and, kind of put her foot in the puddle. But, she works with my photographer all the time and she goes to the listings. And as she says now, she does not want to be a real estate agent because my life is crazy. But
well, at least she can recognize it.
yeah, she's like, Mom, I mean, why would you want to do this? I'm like, well, and I kind of look at it as I don't miss much with the kids. We are able to be there for the shows and all the little, we have 4-H meetings and Boy Scouts and flag. We don't miss much. And
No, and
that's
I mean, if you look at it from that perspective of you get to create your own schedule. And by create your own schedule, that doesn't mean you're creating a schedule of 10 hours a week. You're still working your ass off. I mean, let's be for real. You're working your ass off. But when you get to create your own schedule and you're not working for someone else, that you are your own boss, that's the true freedom of real estate, is that you can maintain and run an excellent business. You can make some really good income for your family because there's no ceiling. You're not stuck to a salary, but when you get to create your own schedule, so long as you're doing the activities that you need to do during your working time and you're constantly producing, you can be there for 4-H, you can be there for football, you can be there for those things. It's an amazing freedom. And it sounds like with you and 5 and the 6th on the way, to make your family complete, that's extremely important.
Right. And it is. I mean, I kind of always said that when I did the home health care, I had the same clients for 15 years. And when I met them, Rose was a tiny baby. And, I bring this little baby and I'm like, well, I don't know how much I can really work because I have this baby. And they're like, oh my gosh, bring her with you. Like, I got so lucky with that.
Not common for sure.
Right. And I mean, if I worked at a grocery store, that it would not happen. You can't bring your baby to work.
Right.
And so now to this day, we still do Christmases with that family. The lady had MS and has MS. She's still good to go. I still stop over there. I'm still there a couple times a week. And, they have become part of our family. And
it's amazing.
And I'm so lucky that, when Rose had stuff going on, well, Rose has a play at 2:00 in the afternoon. Well, you work at a grocery store. You can't just leave, I mean, you're on a 40-hour a week. And I was always able to say, okay, I'll be back in a couple hours, or I'll see you tomorrow. So I guess I've been so fortunate to have what I've had the whole time Rose has been here, because I wouldn't have wanted to miss any of that. I missed one party in 4th grade, and I have not heard the end of it. Mom, do you remember that one time? And I said, oh my goodness.
They have memories like sponges when they want to.
I know. And I think I said it to somebody. It was like, I missed one party. And she, oh yeah, I remember that. I said, no, you don't,
Right.
But it was one party out of 100. So,
but they'll never let you forget it. They know.
Right. No, I always volunteered at the school, and, I was in Pirate Parents, and I've always been able to do all that. And to this day, I love helping with the school, and I love being able to show up at these things. And now I can throw my real estate in there and be like, hey, I'm a realtor. Want me to do a booth? And, we've done a couple things with the school and sponsored stuff. And I think that's important too. Buying donuts for the teachers. I took 10 dozen donuts at the end of the year last year, and gave them all to the teachers, and put my card on the boxes and said, thanks for a great year. And you don't know how far that went. I think I got, I don't know, 10 or 12 thank you, messages in the Remind app saying, wow, thank you so much for doing that for us. That was nice.
That's an amazing way to connect. Right. On a very personal level with the people that are caring for your kids and that you're surrounded by in your community. I mean, that was a great idea. I might have to steal that.
Hey, go ahead. I mean, and I learned it from a podcast myself. We were, I think it was Open Door or something, that I was on one day, and they said, well, we took the kid, the teacher's donuts. And it's like, man, that's easy. And it was, of course, during COVID. So you can't have stuff, it's got to be all sealed. And I'm like, this is so easy. So I think I taped 4 or 5 cards on each box and took the 10 boxes and gave them to the office and said, please take these to the teacher's lounge. Keep one here for yourself. I mean, it went so far.
That's amazing. That was a great idea.
Yep. So, I mean, I love doing little things like that. We took bags to the police station. I live in a very small town. Mm-hmm. So we have volunteer firefighters, and the year Rose was born, 2008, our house burnt down. And,
holy cow.
Yeah. The Red Cross came, and the firefighters, the local firefighters, they all asked, what can we do? What can we do? Well, you don't know what happens until you go through something like that. And it's like, man, what do you have? And I'm looking in my car, because we weren't home at the time of the fire. And I'm like, man, I have my CDs, I have 2 shirts. And then it's like, your whole life was turned upside down. Then I had Rose. So that happened in November of 2007. And then I had Rose in April of 2008. So
holy moly. I mean, you were pregnant and your house burned down. Was it like, first of all, I've never talked to anybody who had their house burned down, but I can imagine not only did you have nothing left to move forward, but years of memories and things that were important to you perished in something. Was that really like emotionally traumatic for you?
It was, but I mean, I had a doctor's appointment the next day, and he said, you have to stay calm. Rose had already had some issues, and so staying calm, kept her alive and kept me safe. So,
wow.
It was just, I kind of look back as it was a chapter in life that, yes, it was unfortunate, but you know what? We're all here. Me and
nobody
Rose,
was hurt.
her dad, no, nobody was hurt. It was late at night, and we were actually out of town. And
so what happened?
They're still not sure. They think it was the dryer malfunction. And again, we rented. We were young. I was 19 years old. So we didn't have renter's insurance, but you live and you learn. I look back now, I would have never rented again. But shortly after that, you know what, we bought our own house and we started our family, and things, yeah, I still think about things like, oh yeah, I had my baby book was in there, and that's, my mom was so crushed. She goes, that was your first hair and it was this and that. But you move forward. I think
Right.
everyone deals with things in life, but you have to get to that point where things happen. At least we're still here and we're still alive. So, and I had a beautiful, healthy baby in April. So, it
You
all
are
worked out.
super resilient. I'm sorry. I just have to cut
Yeah.
you off and say that right
No.
now. Like, resilient is one of my favorite words, and not a word that I use to describe people often, because it takes a special person to fit the category of resiliency or being resilient. And just hearing about your life, you're building your business, and your husband having COVID, and your house being burnt down while you were pregnant with a small child. I mean, you have been through a lot, and we all have stories where we've been through a lot. I've been through a
Right.
lot, but I
Right.
mean, you are very resilient. Kudos to you, mama.
Well, thank you. I think it's just all part of growing, and then when I met Eric, he taught me how, you keep growing, you keep expanding, to stay in the same job that you're not happy with. You don't want to do that. You don't want to, because there's always room to grow. And then with real estate, he just got his license at the end of last year. Actually right before he got COVID. So, we have rentals now together and we manage those, and it constantly growing. You have to keep going. So
Absolutely.
no
Wow,
matter.
that's so much. So, we've talked quite a bit today. We've gone through a lot about you, and I appreciate everything that you've said. If you had to give one bit of advice, personal advice, to agents out there, new agents who are mamas, whether they're
Mhm.
single moms or they're running a family or whatever it be, what one bit of advice do you think would be the most valuable to give?
Oh, I kind of touched on this, but your family comes first, especially with mama agents and family agents. In in this market, that house may not be there tomorrow, but um, your family needs you. And I know people get busy, and the kids are gonna forgive us, and they're gonna say it's okay, mom. But I always say family comes first, and just learn how to schedule things. Put that at the top of your priority. The kids, the family, your life comes first, and work around that.
Yep,
Um,
time management, calendar management, but
exactly.
your family first, always. Family first, always. Oh, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. That's it. That's great advice. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for coming on the show and being on this podcast. And if anybody wanted to reach out to you or connect with you from this show, how would they what would be the best way for them to contact you? Social media or calling or what?
Pick up the phone and call me. I would be happy to answer any questions. I'd be happy to help anybody. I love seeing new agents, kind of like Chuck. He has grown so much in the last year. He didn't have many transactions, and then him and I kind of teamed up, and he is just, it's so awesome learning new things. And there's a couple girls from my office I chat with, and the one called me and, hey, can I bounce this off of you? Absolutely. I mean, you need you need friends that are real estate agents, because we don't know it all. I'm learning, you're
Can't
learning,
know
and
what you don't know. That's one of my
right.
favorite sayings. You can't know what you don't know. So how do you know what to ask?
And so you say sometimes, hey, I got this agent who's kind of, they said this, and this. Well, why don't you approach it like that? Just help people, and I've been in a couple situations where more experienced agents, wow, you're a new agent. Don't be nasty, be nice and help people. I guess that's one of my biggest things. And if I can help somebody make money and succeed in this crazy world of real estate, I would love to. So yeah, anybody's more than
100%.
I'll reach out to me. I
What's
would
your
love to.
phone number?
330-288-4024.
Whoop, whoop.
Anytime.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for listening to the show. Don't forget to look out for next week's episode. And if you want to get a hold of Jennifer, you know how to reach her. And thank you so much, Jennifer. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
All right. Hey, mamas. Thanks for tuning in to Confessions of a Wife, Mom, and Realtor. If you liked today's confession, make sure you subscribe to hear more juicy stories from other realtor moms like you. See you next week.